Welcome to the first episode of From Innovations to Success. I am Marianne, and today we look at what services can SMEs benefit from before expanding their businesses to China. On behalf of China IPR SME Helpdesk, I would like to thank EU SME Centre Director Mr. Chris Chung for joining us on this summer day here in Beijing.
Thank you very much.
And we can start off by asking Chris, could you please describe to our viewers how the EU SME Centre in Beijing supports European small and medium-sized enterprises, and in general, what are the range of services you provide for them?
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this interview. The EU SME Centre, like the IPR SME Helpdesk, is an EU-funded project that has been around for 6 years. And our main aim is to help European SMEs enter the China market, to get them ready for the China market. And we do this through 4 key areas. The first area is the Knowledge Centre, and through the Knowledge Centre, SMEs can access over 100 publications, sector reports and technical guidelines, which will help them understand how to do business in China. We have the Advice Centre, where we have 4 experts giving advice on setting up businesses, how to export to China, and how to recruit and retain staff in the Chinese market, as well as giving advice on business development. Then we have the Training Centre, where all of this content is provided face-to-face or online to European SMEs, both in Europe and in China. So in Europe we carry about 40 trainings a year, and in China we carry out about 20 to 25 trainings each year. And then the last area is something called the Advocacy Platform, and this is where SMEs have the opportunity to raise the challenges and issues they face when doing business in China, and they can talk about it within something called the Interchambers Working Group and the policy briefings. And this is where they can feed in directly to the EU government and the Chinese government, and just raise their concerns about what they're facing in the Chinese market.
Okay, thank you. And how often, obviously you work with those EU SMEs on a daily basis very closely, and how often do their inquiries or search for help and advice relate to IP matters, the intellectual assets?
So we answer about 800 inquiries each year on a wide range of areas, and we often get inquiries regarding IP or intellectual property rights. The most common one is regarding trademarks, and then the second one would be about patent registration.
Okay, so you would say that they are most concerned of patents and trademarks?
By far the most frequently asked question is about trademarks. So how to protect their brand when they come into the market. Many of our European SMEs will be exporters. Most of them will be exporters, so they're exporting products, cosmetics, food and beverages, medical devices, different types of machinery, and one of the things they want to protect is their logos and their brands when they bring them here. So trademarks is the first thing they will ask about.
Okay. You just mentioned some of the sectors they work in or operate in. Would you know to bring up some new sectors that are just evolving or becoming more and more important related to EU SMEs doing business in China or expanding their business to China?
New sectors, well, there's new industries such as ICT, which is coming through. Things like the Internet of Things will increasingly become more prevalent in China. Software is going to become much more common in terms of the inquiries that we're receiving as well, as people want to get into this changing environment. So these are some of the areas that they're really starting to look at.
And obviously the risk of getting your IP infringed or products copyrighted is quite big in China. Is this a factor that impedes European SMEs to come to China or not?
I think it's something that they're very wary of. Many people looking to do business in China have heard about the intellectual property right concerns, and I don't think they have a very clear idea of how to protect them. On the other hand, at the same time, the IPR environment here is improving, and I think they are becoming increasingly aware of this too. The regulations are there, and enforcement is increasing in terms of intellectual property rights as well. And because of services like the IPR SME Helpdesk, they're increasingly becoming aware of how to strategize in terms of their IPR for the market as well. So in terms of just doing the basics of valuing their IPR before they come to the Chinese market, carrying out a risk assessment before they enter the market as well, to see whether they really want to risk their IP in the market as well. More and more SMEs are doing this as well before they come here. And of course, the main message is before you come here that you should register your IPR, and more companies are doing this too.
Now you have mentioned IP registration. Do you yourself have some examples how the timely IP registration has led to business success, or not taking the precautionary measures then has led to business failure?
I think there's two aspects to this. One of them is about the prevention aspect. And the main message here is that if you don't register your IPR, your trademarks, or register your patents in the Chinese market, then it's very, very hard to protect. You cannot rely on your registration in your EU member state in order to protect you in China. And so you have to register your IPR in China as well. So for example, if you don't register your IPR and then somebody lists your product on an e-commerce platform in China, there are channels for it to be taken down, provided by these e-commerce platforms. But first you have to prove that you have registered your IPR in China, you have registered your trademark, for example, in China. So unless you've registered your trademark in China, you won't be able to take down the counterfeiting goods from the e-commerce website. So in terms of prevention and stopping infringing behavior on Chinese websites, then obviously that's just one example of how you can prevent it. The other examples are regarding how you can capitalize on your IPR in the Chinese market as well. And again, if you don't register your IP in China, then the value of that IP cannot be considered as an asset of your company in the Chinese market. So when you're looking to do business in China, many businesses start quite small. Many of them do not think about registering their trademarks or their patents, but when they think about expanding and scaling and doing things like franchise, they realize that, oh dear, I have to actually start registering my trademark, and perhaps they should have thought about that a bit quicker. The other aspect of it is in terms of, again, using the e-commerce websites. If you want to register or use things like Weixin, where I think there's over 650 million users on WeChat right now. If you want to use your logo or start up a group in Weixin, then again, you have to register your trademark. And if you wanted to register on Tmall or Taobao or Jingdong, and you want to list your products on there, your branded products, again, you have to register your trademark. The final part is about, as I mentioned before, the value of the company. There'll be a time when a small company, we hope, could become so big that it will want to sell its company in China, or at one stage or other, it will want to exit or move on to somewhere else. And IPR is an asset. If you do not register your IP or register your patents, then the IP under the trademark or under the patent is not considered an asset of the company, and so obviously the valuation of the company is not as high as it could have been.
Yeah. So all in all, I guess we can say that registration is key, and being prepared and knowing before you go. Well, I have.
These are very good phrases.
These are our catchphrases and do work. Well, I would like to thank you for joining us for this interview. It was our pleasure, and I wish you a nice day.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
General advice on how to prepare for business expansion in China can be found from the EU SME Centre website www.eusmecentre.org.cn. All of you who are interested in more in-depth information about registering, protecting and enforcing your intellectual assets in China, please visit our website www.ipr-hub.eu. See you in another video.